2025 has been a wild ride for gaming. After years of experimentation, evolving tech, and studios figuring out their footing, this is the year it all started to click. Developers are taking risks, refining their craft, and delivering experiences that stick. In this video, we're counting down the 16 best games of 2025. Alright, let's jump into this list with one of the cleanest multiplayer experiences I've ever had. Released in November 2025, Arc Raiders took a long, complicated development history and finally delivered something that actually felt worth the wait. Before being rebooted as a full extraction experience, the final version blends both ideas into a surprisingly cohesive hybrid. Gameplay-wise, it's all about tight, high-pressure runs against mechanical threats. Teams have to balance scavenging with objective play, and playing solo nails that constant push-pull tension that so many extraction shooters get wrong. This game's not overly complex. It doesn't have the same learning curve as a lot of other extraction shooters out there. One of the coolest things is the procedural animation system. Add in dynamic storms, shifting enemy routes, and a progression system that respects your time. You've got one of 2025's most surprisingly confident releases.
Time is against us.
Next up, Hades 2. A game that built on everything we love from the original, while carving out its own identity. From the moment you step into the underworld as Melanoi, the combat flows in a way few roguelikes manage. Fast, precise, and packed with options. You can change spells, switch stances, and experiment with different weapon styles on the fly. And each run ends up feeling completely unique, because of how the enemies react and the biome shifts around you. Supergiant clearly spent a lot of time fine-tuning every system. The procedural layouts are smartly designed, the pacing of encounters keep you on edge, and the narrative still manages to hit that perfect balance between humor, stakes, and character depth. If you loved the first game, you'll probably enjoy this one just as much. One of my personal favorite additions has to be the Crossroads Hub, one of the best menus ever. It evolves as you play, giving new rituals, characters, and world changes that make returning to the underworld feel rewarding every single run. Hades 2 is a masterclass in how to grow a franchise while keeping things new. One of the best games of the year for sure.
He's loath to ask for favors is all.
Silent Hill F is one of the most compelling horror games in recent years. You step into a town shrouded in fog, where every corner hides secrets, and the narrative slowly unravels through environmental storytelling, cryptic notes, and eerie encounters. You're constantly questioning what's real, because the game doesn't hand you many answers. The story centers on a protagonist haunted by a traumatic past, forced to confront both literal and psychological monsters. Early on, I was drawn in by the way the characters' backstories intersected with the town itself, and each discovery felt like I was learning more about them. Plot twists hit unexpectedly, and moments that seemed minor at first often looped back later in ways that surprised me. Silent Hill F also excels in pacing the narrative. Horror, mystery, and character moments are balanced so the tension builds steadily, rather than relying on cheap scares. The game trusts you to interpret events, and I loved how ambiguous threads kept me theorizing long after I'd put down the controller. If you care about story and horror games, Silent Hill F delivers a deeply immersive and unsettling experience. Its layered narrative, rich character development, and constant sense of mystery make it one of 2025's most memorable story-driven titles.
Is this true?
Let's move on to Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, an RPG that feels like stepping into a living painting. You join an expedition to confront the mysterious paintress, whose rituals threaten to erase your entire existence. And from the very first moments, the game makes you feel the stakes. The world is different visually to most games, and it almost has that haunting Final Fantasy vibe, with city streets, shadowed corridors, and wild landscapes, as if the environment itself is part of the story. The story is great, by the way. On the other hand, we have the combat, which blends turn-based strategy with precise timing. Parry too early or attack too late, and the consequences are immediate. But when everything lines up, the flow is exhilarating. Progression encourages experimentation, letting you tailor abilities and builds while keeping encounters tense and unpredictable. The attention to detail throughout the development is obvious. The visuals are painterly, and the music adds emotion to every scene. Exploration, the evolving rituals, and the way the world responds to your choices makes the experience feel layered and compelling. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is the kind of game you don't forget. Alright, now we got Death Stranding 2. And honestly, this is one of the weirdest, most unexpectedly emotional rides of 2025. Hideo Kojima has doubled down on the surreal world building that made the first game so infamous. Cities crumbling, timefall wreaking havoc, and of course, ghostly BTs lurking everywhere. But this time, the story leans harder into character drama, with strands of mystery that somehow make you care about delivering packages. Again. Gameplay mixes the classic traversal with new mechanics that actually feel chaotic and hilarious, but also super satisfying when you nail it. Players have already memed the cargo Jenga runs non-stop online. Visually, the game is absurdly good. The landscapes feel massive, the physics make every footstep matter, and the soundtrack hits just when it should. It's bizarre, it's beautiful, it's occasionally frustrating, but it's unmistakably Kojima. Death Stranding 2 somehow makes hauling boxes feel epic again, and it owns every second of its weirdness. This one's only on PS5 right now, but hopefully PC fans can get their hands on it soon. Alright, time to talk about Silksong, and honestly, this one's a dream for fans of the original, but not without its hiccups. Hornet's adventure is gorgeous, with tighter movement, new combat tricks, and enemies that make you think twice before charging in. The world feels massive and interconnected, packed with secrets that reward exploration in the way only Team Cherry can pull off. Combat is faster and more fluid than the original, with silk-based abilities that let you chain attacks and dash around like a nightmare ballet. Boss fights are clever and brutal, and the variety keeps you constantly on your toes. It's still extremely challenging, even for veteran players. Some sections can feel punishingly repetitive, especially if you get lost in the loop of backtracking and platform precision, and while the world is beautiful, the narrative is still light on story beats. You'll mostly be piecing things together from environmental clues rather than getting a strong, coherent plot. Even with those caveats, Silksong nails the charm, challenge, and artistry that made Hollow Knight a legend. It's a must-play, but don't expect it to hold your hand. Now let's quickly talk about instant gaming, the best way to get your games for less money than you would from retail. Whether it's new releases, bestsellers, or upcoming pre-orders, you'll find them at a discount for PC, PlayStation, and more. Unlike shady key marketplaces, instant gaming only sells keys from authorized resellers, so you're getting legit products at great prices. Plus, with a top Trustpilot rating and 24/7 customer support, you can buy with confidence. Personally, I've been using their service for a while, and always had a great experience, and that's why we're happy to partner with them. Check out Instant Gaming through the link in the description and start saving today. Now let's talk about another game you can get lost in for hours.
We have all sorts of vagabonds.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 continues the series' commitment to historical realism, and it does so with an ambition that borders on audacious. The sequel expands on its predecessor's intricate systems, from combat to survival mechanics, while presenting a world that feels genuinely lived in. Riding through Bohemia, you encounter towns that respond to your reputation, NPC schedules that influence gameplay, and quests that demand attention to detail. Combat remains punishingly grounded. Timing, positioning, and stamina management are crucial, which can frustrate players used to more forgiving systems. But it rewards those willing to invest the effort. The RPG elements are deeper, with branching quests and faction dynamics that create consequences you truly feel, though the sheer density of mechanics can overwhelm at first. Narratively, the game leans heavily into political intrigue and personal consequence, offering moments of real tension and subtle storytelling. It isn't perfect. AI inconsistencies and occasional mechanical friction prevent it from being seamless. But for players who appreciate historical fidelity, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 offers a deeply engaging, sometimes brutal simulation of medieval life that few other games attempt. Let's talk about Donkey Kong Bananza, a game that fully leans into chaotic, over-the-top platforming fun. From the moment you step into its destructible worlds, it's clear that it isn't about careful jumps or subtle exploration. It's about smashing, stomping, and blasting your way through levels with total freedom. Almost every piece of terrain can be broken, rearranged, or used strategically, which makes each stage feel alive and unpredictable. The new Bananza transformation system adds a layer of creativity. By collecting bananas, Donkey Kong can morph into wild, overpowered forms that completely change how you traverse environments and interact with enemies. Pauline joins the adventure too, and her rhythm-based support abilities don't just help you, they add a sense of flair and energy to the action that's impossible to ignore. It's not perfect. The frame rate can dip when things get chaotic, and the camera occasionally struggles in tight or vertical spaces. But those are minor hiccups compared to the sheer joy of experimentation and discovery. Donkey Kong Bananza is loud, ridiculous, and unapologetically fun. A reinvention of the franchise that's impossible to play without smiling. Playing Metal Gear Solid Delta is the best stealth experience you can have right now. Right away you notice how alive the world feels. Guards patrol unpredictably. They communicate, respond to sounds, and adapt if you mess up. That's something you don't often get in stealth games like Hitman 3, for example, where cleverness is optional and encounters can feel staged. Here, I felt rewarded for actually thinking and reacting. The gadgets feel satisfying to use, from EMP grenades to sound decoys, and the level design gives you multiple paths to approach each objective. Some areas remind me of the glory days of Metal Gear. Now, the game is a pretty accurate remake, so don't expect it to feel like a brand new game, but the pacing is better than I expected. Early missions are forgiving too, letting you get comfortable with the movement, while later ones ratchet up the tension and complexity. By the end, I feel like I was finally mastering the systems, and the satisfaction of pulling off a perfect infiltration was unmatched. In a year crowded with stealth and action titles, Metal Gear Solid Delta stands out as a game that rewards patience, creativity, and attention to detail, striking a balance that few modern games manage to pull off. Plus, it's Metal Gear, so what's not to like?
Drift away.
The above provision and bequest is contingent.
Blueprints immediately grabbed me because it's the kind of game that makes you think before you act. You play as a mysterious prince, navigating a shifting, labyrinthian world filled with environmental puzzles, hazards, and creatures that require careful observation. At first I assumed it would be simple, maybe even a relaxing puzzle romp, but the game quickly demanded strategy and timing. It reminded me a bit of Tunic in how each encounter forces you to plan moves carefully. But unlike Tunic's action-heavy approach, Blueprints focuses on exploration, resource management, and subtle problem solving. The roguelike elements add tension to each run. Each decision matters: which path to take, when to engage enemies, and how to manage limited tools. I especially love how environmental clues encourage experimentation. You're often rewarded for observing subtle details rather than brute force solutions. Narratively, the story is understated. You've pieced together the prince's journey through environmental storytelling and cryptic encounters, which gives a real sense of mystery. Compared to other puzzle adventures or roguelike hybrids this year, Blueprints feels smarter and more deliberate. It doesn't overwhelm with flashy combat or mechanics, but keeps you engaged through thoughtful design and a sense of discovery. A puzzle adventure that rewards patience and curiosity in equal measure. Assassin's Creed Shadows is one of the standout samurai experiences of 2025, and it nails that balance between fluid movement, stealth, and cinematic combat. You play as Hiro, a skilled shinobi navigating a politically charged Edo period Japan, and from the first mission the game makes you feel capable and dangerous. The parkour is buttery smooth, letting you leap across rooftops, scale walls, and disappear into crowds with a satisfying rhythm that makes traversal feel like a game in itself. Combat is flexible and rewarding. You can approach encounters stealthily, picking off enemies one by one, or embrace chaos with flashy combos and gadgets. I loved moments where a carefully timed leap or distraction completely turned the tide on the mission. Unlike some other open-world stealth games, Shadows consistently makes you feel in control of your options, whether that's blending into a crowd, scaling a tower, or silently assassinating a heavily guarded target. Snow-dusted temples, lantern-lit streets, and bustling markets all feel great, and the game rewards exploration with hidden challenges, lore, and secret paths. The story leans into intrigue and betrayal, giving weight to your choices, though some of the side missions occasionally feel repetitive. There are a few minor hiccups. Stealth can occasionally feel forgiving, and enemy AI in crowded areas sometimes behaves predictably. But these don't take away from the core experience. The pacing combined with a variety of combat and traversal options keeps the game consistently engaging across dozens of hours. Overall, Assassin's Creed Shadows delivers a satisfying cinematic samurai adventure. It's a game that makes you feel like a master of movement and assassination. The characters unfortunately aren't the best, but I feel like they never are that good in Assassin's Creed, personally. There were two big hits for samurai fans this year, and Ghost of Yotei is another one. If you played Assassin's Creed Shadows, you'll notice right away how Yotei occupies a similar space, but with a much darker, more personal tone. Both games drop you into Japan-inspired worlds where stealth, combat, and exploration are central. But while Shadows leans into assassination fantasy, Yotei makes every fight feel grounded and consequential. You play as Obscur, a mercenary haunted by her past, hunting down the Yotei Six, a group of outlaws responsible for a trauma. From the first moments on horseback through snow-covered forests and wind-whipped plains, the world immediately grabs you and refuses to let go. Combat is classic Sucker Punch quality, but now with more variety than Shadows. Dual blades, spears, adaptive enemy AI make every encounter tense and satisfying. The pacing is excellent. You can sneak through objectives, rush in with raw aggression, or mix both. The game rewards whichever style you choose. Maybe it's not quite as fresh as Ghost of Tsushima, and some people will be put off by the protagonist. The exploration is equally strong. The northern landscapes are breathtaking, from frozen rivers to steaming hot springs. And side activities like hunting, tracking, and environmental puzzles make the world feel alive in a way Tsushima never quite matched. It's the kind of game where you linger not because you have to, but because the world is so compelling. Split Fiction is one of the most inventive co-op games ever. Each player controls a character in parallel dimensions, and progress depends on coordination and timing. Early puzzles had us fumbling and laughing, but when a solution finally clicked, it felt incredibly satisfying. The twist is how action in one dimension affects the other. A move you make can open a pathway or trigger a trap, for your partner keeping both players engaged and thinking ahead. It's like It Takes Two, but with its own identity, blending teamwork with clever shifting world puzzles. The visual design helps a lot. Each dimension has a distinct style, making it clear how your actions impact the environment. It's not flawless. Timing-based puzzles can frustrate if communication slips. Split Fiction nails co-op gameplay by rewarding teamwork, creativity, and patience. Playing it with a friend turns every session into a memorable adventure, and it's easily one of 2025's standout experiences.
Agreed.
East side. Moving right to left.
Battlefield 6 is back to big, chaotic battles that actually feel like a proper Battlefield game. The weather and day-night cycles shake up tactics. Smashing cover or buildings can completely change a firefight. Players have been loving it so far. It's fast, strategic, and just fun. Squads actually feel like squads, and when everything clicks, it's pure chaos in the best way. Portal mode adds another layer of creativity, letting you remix maps and game modes for whatever wild scenario you want. If you miss that feeling of dropping into a huge battlefield and having no idea what's coming next, Battlefield 6 delivers. It's messy, tactical, and endlessly entertaining. Basically everything fans were hoping for. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake is a nostalgia trip that still manages to feel fresh in 2025. From the moment I step into Cyrodiil, the world has that old-school charm that reminded me why the original was so beloved. Towns bustle with NPCs going about their routines, forests hide secrets at every turn, and the dungeons feel as rewarding as ever. The main quest, dealing with the looming Oblivion crisis, is classic Elder Scrolls. Epic in scale, but personal in impact. I genuinely cared about the fate of the world as I traveled from village to village, uncovering conspiracies, helping locals, and gradually building my character into a force capable of facing Daedric threats. Side quests feel meaningful too, from joining guilds to hunting rare artifacts, giving the world a lived-in feeling that few open-world RPGs achieve. Mechanically, the remake smooths out the rough edges of the original. with updated combat, better AI, and improved visuals that make exploration even more rewarding. Some parts of the map still feel a bit sparse, but those are minor compared to the sheer scale and freedom they offer. If you love the original or are new to the Elder Scrolls series, Oblivion Remake is a perfect blend of nostalgia and modern polish. Its epic story, expansive world, and sense of freedom make it one of 2025's standout RPGs. And that's our list of the 16 best games of 2025 you absolutely need to play. From epic RPGs to tense horror and chaotic co-op adventures, this year has been stacked with unforgettable experiences. Hit that subscribe button, it means a lot to us, and I'll see you in the next one.